one thing I have learned from this transfer window so far is that you can never truly know if Real Madrid is gonna do this or that. They change their transfer strategy every single day. Perez changes his mind on this player, that player. This is the Galáctico, this is the Galáctico. You never know. But one thing I know for sure now is that Real Madrid has changed their mind. Perez especially has changed their mind on one man and one man only. And it's the Golden Ball World Cup winner, Rodri. Which I have talked about many times before on this channel. It looked like a completely dead deal until this day. And it started like this. Real Madrid fans have started flooding the replies of the club, Real Madrid, in all social media accounts with pictures of Rodri asking for his signing. If you genuinely opened Instagram, Twitter, anything, flipping Facebook, bro, you could have opened anything and in the comments it was a gif of Rodri or Perez signed Rodri, hashtag sign Rodri. And I was like, fair enough. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Rodri, as you probably may have known, if you have watched my content before. But if you don't know, I have always talked about how I don't trust him with the injuries. If he can stay fit, fair enough. He's a great player, of course. But it seems that Real Madrid and the Real Madrid fans have worked some magic on Florentino, because Florentino Pérez, confirmed by Matte Moretto, which is a journalist that, you know, does many podcasts, news, reports with Fabrizio Romano. So I am trusting this source. 433 has reported this. Many other, huge sources have reported this, and credible reporters have reported this, that Florentino Pérez has changed his mind about Rodri. He is now very open to signing him. Talks are now very advanced on personal terms, which is not even, it's not even going to be a problem. The personal terms, I think, are just gonna be agreed, fully agreed. I think Rodri will have no problem even, taking a wage cut. But the negotiations with Manchester City are not underway yet. But if I'm gonna be completely honest, why are you signing Anderson for 130 million and you already have Nico Gonzalez there? Rodri has made it way too public for it to be that he stays at Manchester City at this point. In the year, I think he has already done too much to stay at Manchester City, and he loves Real Madrid. He has made that very clear. Now, I'm not here to only talk about the signing. Do I think it's gonna happen? Yes. And that's why I'm here. The predicted lineup with Rodri. How does Real Madrid actually line up with Rodri? How does it look like with the other players? Who gets, dropped to the bench? Who will be playing the right wing, midfield? There is going to be some players on the bench, of course. And then at the end of the video, after we do the predicted lineup, we're going to rate this signing. And that's what I'm going to ask you right now as well. Before we get into the predicted lineup, just in a second, I want you to ask two questions. How much money would you spend on Rodri? Maximum amount of money would you spend on Rodri? And the second one, if we sign Rodri, rate the signing 1 out of 10. That's all I want from you. That is all I ask you. Because I think Rodri can be a great signing if he stays fit. I have always said this. If he stays fit, fair enough. If he doesn't, it might be a different question. Now, let's talk about the predicted lineup, because this is gonna be interesting. If we just go into, I think we all know that Jose Mourinho will probably stick to his, 4-2-3-1 formation, which has been, I think it has been his best and most crucial formation in his career. I think this is a variant of 4-3-3 as well. We can say that as well. But the double pivot is where it, resembles with Mourinho and the defensive structure of Mourinho in this lineup. Now, of course, we can just start by putting in Thibaut Courtois. I think there's literally no way other than an injury for Thibaut Courtois to be stopped, from being Real Madrid's number one, the best keeper in the world. No problem there. Now, I'm going to actually start on the left side, because once again, we have a clear winner here. It's Marc Cucurella. Cucurella, the World Cup winner. I think he's probably the second best left back in the world after Nuno Mendes. Why would he sign him, if he didn't want to play him, right? I think Carreras will be the competition of the bench, and Cucurella will be 100% starting. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, because the center backs, there's talks of Raul Asensio going out on loan. Of course, Militao is still injured. Rudiger not being the greatest, the age is catching up to him, and we have also, gone for Konate. We might be even going for Bastoni, but I'm not going to include Bastoni just yet, because if Bastoni is, you know, a Real Madrid player at the end of this window, which is still possible, by the way, that option is still on the table, I'm just not going to include him now. If he did join Real Madrid, he would be in my predicted lineup, of course. For me, the right back is still going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold in the first few games. I think Dumfries will be maybe starting, example, some big games against a sensational attacking team. For example, maybe, you know, it can be Barcelona. Sometimes it can be a more physical game and more defensive game, like Atletico Madrid. And Trent is going to be starting, I think, those UCL games where you have more space, you know, he's not really going to have too much, you know, pressure, and he's not going to be in a low block against, you know, teams like, I don't know, maybe Marseille, Monaco, you know, these teams, these random teams. I don't know why I said two Ligue 1 teams, to be honest, but I think Trent and Dumfries will be in a, you know, big rotation, but I think Trent will have like 60-65% of the games, and he will be my starting right back. Now, the two center backs will actually be, I don't know, the sides. I don't really care about the sides, honestly, guys. I think it's going to be Dean Huijsen and Konate if Bastoni doesn't join the club. Now, why is this, you ask? I don't think that Raul Asensio is going to stay at the club. Him and Franco Mastantuono are heavily linked to being loaned out, which I think is the right decision. His last season at Real Madrid, which started with the most dustiest Club World Cup I have ever seen. And Huijsen is the better center-back, even though he didn't have the greatest of first seasons, of course. And then Konate, which we have signed for a free, but on a huge contract. I think Mourinho can, you know, better his career, which the last, you know, season of his career at Liverpool wasn't the greatest, but let's be honest, guys, the whole Liverpool team was just discombobulated. They couldn't do anything. All of the new signings, you know, Arne Slot's second season, it just wasn't the right environment for Konate. And what's the right, you know, environment for a defender that's struggling? Jose Mourinho system. Now, the people, you know, other than Konate and Huijsen, Rudiger, I think he's going to be a rotational player. For me, he has to be on the bench. I don't want to see Rudiger getting so many more minutes than these guys, because there is literally no point, guys. Like, he has 1 year left on his contract. We have signed him for 1 more year. Fair enough. He can be good rotation in some games, but I don't want to see him starting. Militao, of course, injured. And then, you know, the younger center backs, they can maybe get a sniff in, but if I'm going to be completely honest, I think this is going to be the duo for the start of the season if we don't sign Bastoni. Now, to the midfield, why don't we just add Rodri in? Because if Rodri signs for Real Madrid, he's going to be a guaranteed starter. Rodri is the type of midfielder that if Mourinho gets under his wing and is fit, get that through your head, please. Because I know people are going to be flaming me. Why are you even making this video? You don't want Rodri. I still don't want Rodri, guys. I still don't fully want Rodri because I'm just so skeptical of injuries. If he can stay fit and Mourinho can work with him in this team, I think Rodri will be the second best midfielder in this team. We're going to come to this midfielder in a minute because he's the best midfielder in the world, guys. Right? Jude Bellingham. But Rodri has to start if he signs for Real Madrid. That's just a no-brainer. Next to him, I will have Tchouaméni, because I think Jose Mourinho will start the season out a little bit more defensive. I think genuinely Rodri on the ball and defensively is great, but Tchouaméni is a little bit better defensively and, you know, has that little bit, you know, that strength-wise is a little bit better in my opinion, and he is a little bit deeper, I would say, than Rodri when it comes to, you know, defending especially, but receiving the ball, everything, Rodri will be the other midfielder, and they complement each other really well. This can of course be like even a Jude Bellingham in a double pivot, this can be Fede Valverde in a double pivot. But I think for the first few games, I think Jose Mourinho will approach the games in a more defensive manner in midfield, because he wants to feel out the teams. He wants to feel out how the players will play with each other. And I think the most possible, you know, duo in the pivot is Rodri and Jude Bellingham, because I think Fede Valverde might have a different role in this team. Now, for this to work, I think Jude Bellingham has to be the number 10. Yes, I am going to put Arda on the bench, but it can also be that Jude Bellingham will slot in as an 8 or, you know, as the double pivot, but we all know that Rodri will be the deeper midfielder, sorry. And then Arda will be the 10. But I think Arda Güler will actually start on the bench I just don't know why. I have the feeling that Arda Güler is not gonna be starting in the few games. I could be wrong, honestly. I could be wrong. He could be playing as a right winger. We could see Jude Bellingham as the 8 and Arda Güler in the 10, as I said before. But I just don't see it for the first few games, and that's why I said it's gonna be a little bit more defensive. Now on the right side, I think it's actually gonna be Endrick. I think Endrick should be getting those chances, and if it's not Endrick, it should be Arda Güler or Fede Valverde. Honestly, guys, if Endrick and Arda don't work out, which they can play right wing, and Endrick is more so becoming more of a right winger, especially in that loan spell for Lyon in Ligue 1, which he was sensational off the right. Honestly, guys, cutting in, his strength, battling in 1v1s with the fullback. He just has a lot of qualities to become an elite winger. I think his, decision making can still get better because we know he can shoot from 35 yards. And, sometimes it goes top bins. Sometimes it's, ending up in somebody's couch. So we have to wait and see for Endrick how he performs in the first few games. But Endrick would be my, kind of the first option. I'm looking at it from like a 1A, 1B because that is a huge possibility. And I see this happening where, Fede Valverde actually suits the system so much. And he is such a good player when Trent plays in the same game. Because as soon as Trent came back, even under Arbeloa, and played with Valverde, and they could have switched, attacking both, they could both defend, Trent can switch into the midfield, Fede Valverde can be on the flanks. They looked sensational together. And I could see this happening because if you remember, one of the best seasons Fede Valverde had, it was at the right wing position. He assisted, Vinny in the UCL final against Liverpool. He had like 15 goals. He had sensational performances in the El Clásicos in that season, and he was a really good finisher. And he has the pace, he has the ability to beat man, he has the ability to also help defensively, which Mourinho loves so much on a winger. He has, had like Eden Hazard, and then he has like a Willian on the other side. He has always had like, how would you say it, vice versa. He's so much difference in those two wingers. Like Eden Hazard was the flary one, give him the ball, sure. On the other side, you have Willian or Pedro. I'm just giving examples. I can't think of on the top of my head who he exactly had at Inter on the wings. But if we are going off of that, Vinicius Jr., if he is going to stay at the club, which I think he will actually, even if Rodri joins, it might not be true. We can be looking at an Olise situation if Vinny leaves the club. But I'm just going to be, keeping it a little bit realistic just to the Rodri signing and to the other signings that we have made, obviously. And Vinny Jr. and Fede Valverde, as completely opposites on the wing, work perfectly, in my opinion. More defensively on the right side, where Cucurella is the more defensive fullback and Trent is the more attacking fullback. So they balance each other out. Cucurella helps more defensively there. Fede Valverde helps out defensively but can also attack. And Vinicius, of course, is the better attacker and the better winger than Fede Valverde. But let's not get it twisted. If the ball goes to the other side and Fede Valverde has to put one top corner or finish a chance, he can do that. He can assist as well. He can run for a race. I think this duo was elite before and can be elite, in the future as well. Maybe even if Rodrigo comes back, but I'm talking about the future a little bit too much. I think if Vinny stays at the club, he is 100% going to be starting in the first few games. If he doesn't perform, I think he can get benched for sure, but I believe this will be, the lineup with Vinny or Endrick and, Vinny, Valverde, or Vinny and Endrick. Then in the number 9, none other than Kylian Mbappe. I think he's going to be the vocal point with Jude Bellingham and Rodri. I think, if you could genuinely put it up to something that the last 2 trophyless seasons were up to something, I think it was the midfield just being completely disconnected with the attack and the midfield having no control. We have had so many issues like injuries and stuff like that, but if you look at the balance in the midfield, we could genuinely say it's 0. And the pressing from the whole team was astonishingly bad, guys. I have made videos in the past, and when we have looked in the statistics of Real Madrid, they are in the best counterattacks, they are in the, ball possession, defensive, actions, flipping passes into the final third, and then you look at pressing, we sit in the 67th percentile in the top 7 leagues. That means some club, like, from the Portuguese league is pressing better than us when they have much worse players in every position, and that's just down to mentality and the midfield not having enough control. But when you have no control, of course you're not gonna press that much because you're gonna be so tired. But when you don't press, it's just impossible. It's impossible to not be pressing in this day and age. And what do you want to do for this team, for them to not press as much? Bring in Rodri, bring in Tchouaméni as the destroyer. Tchouaméni can win those balls back. He can be the destroyer, he can win those duels, fair enough. If he doesn't, Rodri can do that as well. But when Rodri gets on the ball, it's either a solid structure in the build-up, or a simple pass back, or if somebody puts pressure on Rodri, he has the physical traits to also push them off, leave them in the dust, be good under pressure, press resistance is there, and he can make the final pass. Put the ball to Bellingham, put the ball to Vinicius, and that's all we need to do. Now, of course, this is all fantasy, because these players have shown me that they cannot work with each other. So Jose Mourinho has a lot of work to do. Let's just not act like Rodri joins the team and suddenly, wow, we have unlocked some play styles like in FC 26, bro. Because it doesn't work like that, bro. Like, Valverde has the power shot, but it doesn't mean he has more chemistry with Vinny Jr. this season or fucking Tchouaméni. Let's just see how it happens, okay? I think Endrick should start maybe, the first couple of games. Maybe Tchouaméni could be on the bench as well. I think Valverde and Tchouaméni are the most, disputable, debatable positions where I see more players, being, because Jude Bellingham play in the 8. Valverde can play in the 8. Goulart can play in the 8 and the 10 as well. Endrick can play here. Arda Goulart can play here. We can be seeing even Mbappe on the left. Gonzalo Garcia, who seems to be sent at the club because Jose Mourinho has been really impressed with him in the preseason training so far. There is a lot of possibilities what can be happening, maybe even Dumfries. What if we just see the typical Jose Mourinho system, all out defensive, in the defense and the midfield and the attack, do the attacking. And help us defensively as well, because that's why I have Valverde there. Now, when we look at the Rodri signing in itself, because yes, we done the predicted lineup, we talked about how the fans, wanted Rodri, and I get it. Honestly, I get it, guys. I am not the biggest fan of this, whole signing of Rodri, just in terms of the injuries, and I have not been the biggest fan of the signing before, but I understand it. He completely proved me wrong, especially in the World Cup. Does that change my opinion completely on if I truly trust this signing? No, I still think he's injury prone. I still think his age can play a huge factor in how many years we get out of him. And, the dressing room and the personality, does it fit with Vinicius? Does Vinny even stay at the club? There is still doubts in my mind. But if we get Rodri for 50 million and he stays fit, and Vinicius isn't a little baby, which I can now call him Chinicius because of the Chinicius, the fucking surgery. I still cannot believe that even happened. Let's just skip over that. I don't even want to talk about it. Bro's doing surgeries on his face while we are talking about Rodri, bro, who snubbed his Ballon d'Or. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Everybody, has their own taste. But if Rodri comes in and everything works like it should, and he doesn't get injured, 10 out of 10 signing, guys. If we can see this World Cup Rodri play for Real Madrid, 10 out of 10, the signing, would be 50 to 60 million, maybe, in my opinion. Anything more than that, I'm a little bit on the 9 out of 10 side. But then again, maybe I'm too skeptical. Maybe I'm too skeptical about Rodri. I rate him as a player, sure. I have seen enough in the World Cup. I have seen enough for City. Injuries. The relationship with the other players. The disrespect that has happened in the past for Real Madrid. I have not forgotten, don't worry. Yes, this is a good signing if it happens, but don't forget the downsides. I am going to rate this signing so far, before it has even happened, an 8 out of 10. And the 2 points that I'm deducting is that I don't know about his wage structure, how much will he cost, and, if he actually fits in with the players as a personality. And then the second one is just purely because I don't trust him in the injury-proneness side. Of course, if he stays fit and he's just the best player for this team and he, just becomes best mates with Vinicius, good. Win me trophies, guys. I don't fucking care. If it's Rodri, if Luka Modric comes back, if Xavi Hernandez comes to Real Madrid and, comes back from retirement, if Zinedine Zidane could play in this team and they won me trophies, I don't care who it is. Bring me anyone into this team. As long as they win and they don't fuck up the team structure and they fight for this badge. That's all I care about. And please, Rodri, if you join, stay fit, win me trophies. And I don't care. I can rate you a 2 out of 10 and you can prove me wrong, guys. I love to be proved wrong when it comes to Real Madrid. It's the best feeling because you cannot lose, bro. You cannot lose. So if Rodri signs for Real Madrid, I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10. After the first season, I can say 11 out of 10, and I would be the happiest person of all time, honestly, guys. So this has been my opinion on the predicted lineup if Rodri joins Real Madrid. I think Valverde and Tchouaméni are the most debatable, as I said before. It can be Jude Bellingham in the double pivot with Arda in the 10, or Endrick on the right side, and, you know, maybe Valverde here, or maybe even Arda, and maybe if you even see Michael Olise in the Real Madrid jersey. But you never know. That's just speculations, and that was just my prediction. And I rated the signing an 8 out of 10 if it happens. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below your opinion on Rodri and how much would you spend on Rodri if it would actually go through. And please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.